Okay, so imagine this. You wake up, it's March 15th, 2089.
Mhm.
You've got that late winter sun streaming through the window. It's sharp, a little too bright. You can smell coffee because you set the timer last night.
A totally normal morning.
A perfectly normal, maybe even a boring morning. You look at the clock, it's 7:45 a.m. The news is on, something about a minor earthquake in Chile.
Except for one absolutely terrifying detail.
Right. The detail is that you have lived this exact day down to the last second 10,427 times.
And you remember every single one.
This is the reality for Maya Chen, who's at the center of the first text we're unpacking today, the loop runners. And look, I know what people are thinking.
Groundhog Day.
Exactly. We've seen it. We know the trope. But the source material we have in front of us, it's doing something much, much weirder.
It is. It's treating this whole scenario not as, a magical curse or some glitch in the Matrix, but as a potential evolutionary leap in consciousness.
A leap.
Yeah. We're looking at a set of narratives that describe two brand new types of human existence. On one side, you have the loop runners, like Maya, who experience time cyclically.
And on the other side, from our second text, we have the given ones. And these are people whose entire sense of self, their whole being, is defined by this radical need for self-sacrifice.
It's a heavy combination. We're going to be getting into how we see time, how people survive profound isolation, and, honestly, what the texts call the physics of love.
So let's start with Maya, 10,427 times. When I read that number in the notes, I just had to stop. That is staggering.
It is. If you actually do the math, subjectively, she has been living the same day for over 28 years.
28 years? Just think about that. The same breakfast, the same conversation with your partner, the same news report about that earthquake in Chile.
And that's the core mechanic, right? The world completely resets at midnight. Physics, everything. The spilled coffee goes right back in the pot. But the runner's memory doesn't. They carry all that experience into the next loop.
I think my brain would just break. And the source material says that breaking is pretty much the first stage, isn't it? This isn't some fun montage of learning piano on day one.
No, not at all. It's deeply traumatic. The text lays out this very specific emotional arc. First is panic. Just pure animal panic. You try to escape it. You try to stay awake past 11:59 p.m. to force the next day to happen.
You can't?
You can't. You just pass out and you wake up and it's 7.0 again. Once that panic fades, you hit the depression phase. The text describes it as a feeling of absolute weightlessness, but not in a good way. It's the weightlessness of meaning. Nothing you do sticks. You save someone's life, and tomorrow they're right back in danger.
That's the part that really got me. If there are no consequences, is there even a point to morality? But then, and this is where I got hooked, Maya hits the curiosity phase. She realizes the world resets, but her mind doesn't.
Exactly, and that is the crucial distinction in this whole lore. Her muscle memory resets. So she can't just practice piano for 1,000 days and be a virtuoso physically. She wakes up with her original body.
But her brain.
Her intellectual understanding remains. The neural pathways that store knowledge, they persist.
So she becomes the secret polymath.
She learns 70 languages. She masters music theory, even if her fingers are a bit clumsy each morning. She reads every single book in the city library.
It's the ultimate hack, but the cost is just unimaginable. But she's not alone, is she? This was a huge turning point for me. I assumed this was just solitary confinement.
She finds the forum. It turns out that somehow certain digital messages on one specific encrypted forum persist across the loops. The text is a little vague on the how, maybe some quantum thing.
Of course.
But it lets her connect with someone called Runner 1.
A guy named David Osei.
Right, and he's been looping since 2087, 2 years longer than her. He's the elder statesman of this bizarre little community.
And when they find each other, they start to categorize their experiences. This fascinated me, the Yuki Sato taxonomy. Because I just thought, a time loop is a time loop, but there are different flavors.
Oh yeah, distinct varieties. And the type of loop you're in defines how you survive. Maya's is a perfect loop. It's deterministic. No matter what she does, the world resets to the exact same state. The coffee always spills.
Which means she has absolutely zero control over the world.
Correct. She can't change the world. She can only change her reaction to it. But then you get the choice loops.
Like that other character, James Tanaka.
Exactly. In a choice loop, the runner has agency. If James turns left instead of right, the day actually changes. He can prevent accidents. He can have new conversations.
Oh, it sounds so much better.
Yeah.
Infinitely better.
You'd think so. But the text points out that this brings its own anxiety, the paralysis of infinite choice. If you can change things, you're responsible for the outcome. If you fail to save someone you saved yesterday, The guilt is crushing. Maya, in her perfect loop, is actually free from that.
That is a really counterintuitive idea. Complete lack of control as a form of freedom. So you have these people trapped for decades, centuries of subjective time. The big question is, how do they not just go completely insane?
This gets us to the core philosophy of the loop runners. It's this debate between depth and breadth.
Okay, let's unpack that, because usually a full life means breadth, right? New experiences, travel, watching your family grow.
Correct. Linear consciousness, that's us. We explore horizontally through time. But loop runners are forced to go vertical. They explore depth. One of them says, infinity is found by experiencing one thing infinitely deeply.
There's that moment with Maya at iteration 50,001. She calls it her amor fati moment.
Love of fate. It's a concept from Nietzsche.
But she takes it to this incredible extreme. She decides to consciously choose the loop. She wakes up, and instead of dreading it, she treats it like a sacred ritual. She chooses to love the story her mom tells on the phone, even though she's heard it 50,000 times before.
It's a profound shift.
Is that healthy, though? Or is it just a kind of Stockholm syndrome with the universe itself?
That's the debate. But the text frames it as a form of mastery. Think of a monk with the same prayer or a martial artist practicing the same form. They aren't bored. They're finding nuance we would miss. Maya isn't just enduring her day. She's perfecting her experience of it.
So that shift from resistance to acceptance is the key to their survival. But then it gets sci-fi again. Talk to me about temporal binocular vision.
This is a huge breakthrough moment. It happens to James Tanaka after 2 million iterations. That's over 5,000 subjective years.
2 million. I can't. My brain just cannot process that.
He realizes he can start to perceive linear time progressing outside of his loop. He's not just trapped. He's a distinct observer. He develops this dual awareness. He's in the loop, but also aware of time flowing around the loop.
And that lets them start contributing to the real world, right? Which I found wild. I thought they were totally cut off.
Physically they are. But remember the forum. They become these wisdom keepers.
Yeah.
Because they have infinite time, they can run simulations. A runner can spend 10,000 iterations testing one medical hypothesis.
They turn their prison into a laboratory.
Precisely. They do the research that would take us centuries, and then they post the final perfected answer to the forum for the linear world to find. They become humanity's secret research engine.
It's incredible. Okay, but I want to pivot now, because the loop runners are only half of this story. We have to talk about the given ones.
The given ones, yes. This is a massive shift in focus. We're moving from the philosophy of time to the philosophy of being.
So we meet this character, Arya Osei, and right away the text establishes that she feels, well, different.
Arya is a given one. The source defines this as a type of consciousness where a person feels ontologically complete, like truly whole, only when they're being consumed or used for others.
We have to be really careful with the language here, because the text makes it very clear this isn't low self-esteem. It's not martyrdom.
Exactly. It's not a pathology. It's presented as a purpose. The analogy they use is a candle. A candle exists to be burned. If it just sits in a box, perfect and unused, it's actually a failure as a candle. Uriah, as a kid, gives away her favorite doll. At 12, she donates bone marrow and says the pain felt like coming home.
That is just so hard for most of us to wrap our heads around. We're wired for self-preservation. These people seem to be wired for self-offering.
And they're like the runners, there are different types. You have body givers, like Marcus Way, who just donate organs, blood, marrow, until they physically can't anymore.
You have time givers, presence givers, people drawn to hospice work, teaching, things where they just pour themselves out.
And then you have the most controversial group, the life givers, the ones whose nature drives them toward the ultimate gift of their own death in service to others.
That's where it gets really scary, because if your entire purpose is to give everything, you eventually run out. You're just destroyed.
And this is the central conflict for the given ones, the danger of their shadow side. The text makes this key distinction between being given and being taken.
Being taken sounds predatory.
It is. But the twist is that some given ones, like the character Mara Chen, actually become addicted to the feeling of depletion. They actively seek out exploiters because being used up feels like a high. It's a tragic distortion of their nature.
So how do they solve this? Because a class of people who want to give everything and a world that loves to take, that sounds like a recipe for disaster.
The solution they come up with is fascinating. It's called the sacred economy, and it's built around the honored recipient.
This is where Arya partners with that guy, Chen Wei, right?
Yes. They realize for a given one to be sustainable, they need a partner who knows how to receive a gift properly. Someone who accepts it, but also protects the giver.
So the recipient is like a governor, a brake pedal.
Exactly. The mantra becomes, sustainability serves the giving. You have to survive today to be able to give again tomorrow. Chen Wei accepts Arya's service, but he also makes sure she eats, sleeps, recharges. He protects her from her own impulse to just burn out completely.
It's like ethical vampirism, but in reverse. But there was also a really interesting debate about money, wasn't there? Can a given one charge for their sacrifice?
Oh, that caused a huge rift in their community. The pure gift faction said no, money corrupts it. It turns a sacrament into a transaction. But the sustainable service faction argued that if they don't get paid, they starve. And a starving giver can't give anything.
Which makes total sense. They finally decide that payment isn't for the gift itself, but for the survival of the giver. It's overhead.
Precisely. You don't pay for the love. You pay for the food that keeps the lover alive. And as Arya gets older, her understanding deepens. She realizes she isn't just giving to one person. She's making an offering to existence itself.
Now, this is where it all started to click for me. We have these two separate texts, the loop runners and the given ones, but then they start to converge.
They do, and it's not just thematic, it's structural. First, did you catch the names?
Yes. David Oze, the loop runner, and Arya Oze, the given one, Maya Chen looping, and Mara Chen, the given one who gets exploited.
The recurrence of those names, Oze, Chen, Tanaka, it suggests a linked universe. That these aren't just random mutations, but part of a larger, maybe coordinated evolution of consciousness.
And they actually start working together. This part blew my mind. How does a given one even partner with a loop runner?
It's a brilliant synergy. A loop runner is trapped, right?
Yeah.
Painfully lonely. A presence giver, someone whose gift is just to be there and listen, can partner with them.
So the given one offers their presence, but wait, the given one doesn't loop. So for them, it's just one day.
Right. From the given one's perspective, they sit with the loop runner for one day. They offer their empathy for 24 hours. But because the runner carries the memory forward, that single finite gift becomes infinite through repetition.
Oh, wow. So if Maya sits with the given one today, and she loops tomorrow, she remembers that connection.
And if she loops 10,000 times, and that given one sits with her every time, even though for the giver it's always the first time, Maya experiences this continuous, unbroken presence. It anchors her. It turns her prison into a shared space.
That is beautiful, and also kind of tragic for the given one who has no idea of the scale of their gift.
But remember, they want to give. And providing an anchor for a wisdom keeper across eons of subjective time, that is the ultimate offering.
It brings us to the why of it all. Why do these consciousness types even exist in this world?
The synthesis in the text suggests this is humanity specializing. The loop runners are the wisdom keepers. They teach us about deep time, patience, solving impossible problems.
And the given one?
They're the infrastructure of service. The healers, the teachers, the people who bear the pain and hold society together.
It totally redefines what a functioning society looks like. You need the people who go deep, the runners, and the people who give wide, the givers.
And it challenges our linear transactional way of life. Most of us are just chasing breath, more days, more stuff. Loop runners teach us that depth mastering one day, loving one moment, is just as valid.
And the given ones teach us that, this idea of total independence is a myth. We're always either giving or receiving. The question is just, are we doing it well?
Right. Are we consuming the people around us, or are we being honored recipients?
It really forces you to look at your own life. I mean, if I had to choose, could I handle the loop? Could I live today 10,000 times?
It's the ultimate test of self-love, isn't it? If you were stuck with yourself in this life forever, would that be heaven or hell? Maya turned it into a heaven, but it took her 50,000 tries.
And seeing the given ones, it makes me wonder about the people in my own life who just give and give. Am I protecting them, or am I just taking from them because it's easy?
That's the lingering question. We assume growth is about acquiring more. But these texts suggest true growth might be about repeating something until you love it, or giving yourself away until you're finally complete.
Two totally different paths to meaning. One through repetition, one through sacrifice.
And the implication is that a healthy world needs both.
Well, that is a lot to process. I want to leave you, the listener, with that final thought from the source material. If you had to choose, breadth the normal life with all its novelty and newness or depth, one single day, mastered and loved forever, which would you choose?
And maybe more importantly, look at your relationships. Do you know how to receive the gifts of the people around you without consuming them?
Something to mull over. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Take care.